Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis. This is the Dr. Ardis Show, and I'm so excited to be with you this week. Actually, spend some time with you. I hope you've had a great week. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. No matter when you're watching this, we know there's a ton of things that you can be doing right now. Thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Ardis Show. What I'm going to do today is actually do a special presentation, an entire show on why it is that spearmint, that most people don't know about, is a miraculous cure for many conditions. In fact, it is one ingredient that you will find in our Biodefense product that most people don't ever talk about, spearmint. You're going to learn everything there is about why it is we included that in our formulas and why it is our mint throat spray, which is actually flavored with spearmint. The reason why we actually put this in our formulation and why it is in our Biodefense product. I want to make sure that our audiences and all people who are coming to the drardisshow.com are aware of the health benefits to each singular ingredient I am specifically selecting to benefit, I'm hoping, your life, my own life, my family's life, but most importantly, all of you. So in order to build that faith and trust in those things that we're formulating for the world, I want to make sure that we're highlighting some of the things that most of you have never been told. For example, did you know that spearmint by itself is actually a known cure for arthritis, inflammation, pain in joints? In fact, in elderly, there's been many different research studies confirming it is so able to reduce inflammation and pain. It's increasing how far the elderly can walk, how much activity they can do. This is just an example, but it has many, many health benefits. In fact, I consider it magical and miraculous, all the healing benefits of spearmint. So that is what we're about to dive into, is what are some of the things you've never heard are the published miraculous cures of God's created spearmint plant and the oils that come from its leaves. All right, so here we go. We're going to dive into all the magical and miraculous healing properties of spearmint. Let's dive into this presentation. Please share this with your friends. Don't forget all of those that are looking and seeking for ways to improve their own health. We've titled this presentation, Spearmint and Its Miraculous Health Benefits. Remember, you can scan this QR code, get access to our emails. Our emails alert you to every new podcast we're doing, presentation, special interview, trusted partners with any company that's producing great products that I've been able to use personally in my home and in my own life that are helping improve your life, and that we expect to do the same. All right, let's start with Healthline Online. Here's an article. We like to make sure that people realize and recognize there are real online reputable medical journals and outfits who are publishing articles about even natural healing plants, minerals, vitamins, herbs. So here's just an article on Healthline of 11 different surprising benefits of spearmint tea and its essential oil. Number one, it's good for digestive upset. In an 8-week randomized study, and we're going to dive into these studies. This is what's different between reading these articles online. I'm actually going to take you through what are the incredible things research and science has figured out got infused in our plants around the world. In an 8-week randomized study in 32 people with irritable bowel syndrome. How many people do you know with irritable bowel syndrome? One group was given a product containing spearmint, lemon balm, and coriander, along with loperamide for diarrhea or psyllium for constipation. At the end of the study, people who received the spearmint-containing supplement reported less abdominal pain, discomfort, and bloating compared to those in the placebo group. How miraculous is that? In one study, spearmint essential oil applied to the skin significantly reduced the incidence of nausea and vomiting to a placebo group. So digestive issues and concerns, remember spearmint. Remember, our Biodefense product has spearmint in it as one of the top 3 ingredients. And you take this orally to help defend against pathogens, fungi, bad microbiome, bugs in your gut that don't belong there, bacteria, yeast, parasites, you name it. We've combined several ingredients inside of here. Spearmint is one of the top 3 ingredients in that product. It's also in our throat spray. Why? It's going to go down your throat and into your gut. It's going to help actually heal issues that you have there, just like you just saw. Spearmint is also high in antioxidants. Read this highlight. 2 tablespoons, that's 11 grams of spearmint, also provides 2% of the reference daily intake for vitamin C. So spearmint contains vitamin C, another potent antioxidant. And according to researchers, spearmint shows excellent antioxidant activity against free radicals. And in one singular study, extract from this herb prevented fat oxidation in meat and was as effective as the synthetic antioxidant BHT. Antioxidants are things like vitamin C that help reduce damaging what are called free radicals. Free radicals, an example would be something like if you eat non-grass-fed beef, you might experience inflammation and pain when you eat that from something called homocysteine, which is a free radical that can get inside the blood from eating unhealthy foods. And as it goes through the bloodstream, it damages your arteries and veins, and actually is what creates the damage on the inside of your arteries and veins, is where cholesterol will start to stick to create plaquing. And truly, LDL cholesterol is there to prevent your veins from allowing from the damage of the free radicals. If we put LDL cholesterol over the injured part of the inside of the blood vessel, the plaquing is what's preventing you from bleeding internally to death. But they're going to tell you it's bad for you. It's actually a way to protect you. You just got to stop creating damage in your arteries and veins so your body stops laying it down. Spearmint is an antioxidant that helps to clear up free radicals to keep your blood, nervous system, all your organs healthy. Number 3, spearmint is also able to aid women with hormone imbalances. I hope you're paying attention, ladies. Studies in women have shown that it can decrease male hormones like testosterone. Any women with facial hair out there? Spearmint helps to reverse that. Increasing female hormones necessary for ovulation, such as hormones listed here: luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, and estradiol, which is an estrogen. In a 30-day randomized study, 42 women with polycystic ovarian syndrome, remember this, everybody with PCOS, just so you know, the mother of my children was told because of the severity of their PCOS, they would never have children. Well, it took 2 months of detoxing her and helping improve her health to get her to where she was able to have 4 kids in 4 years. But she was told for 15 years she would never have kids because of PCOS. Remember, spearmint is a product, second ingredient in our Biodefense. In a 30-day randomized trial, 42 women with polycystic ovarian syndrome who drank spearmint tea twice a day had lower testosterone levels and higher luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone levels compared to women who drank a placebo tea. So if you need to balance your hormones, make sure spearmint's a part of that, or make Biodefense a part of your life, or make sure you're doing your throat spray with spearmint in it. Number 4, may reduce facial hair in women. In one 5-day study, 12 women with PCOS and 9 women with facial hair due to unknown causes were given 2 cups of spearmint tea twice a day during the follicular phase of their menstrual cycle. While the study was not long enough to determine whether spearmint affected facial hair, the women's testosterone levels reduced, which, by the way, if you lower testosterone levels in females, they stop growing facial hair. In a longer 30-day study, in 41 women with PCOS, women who drank 2 cups a day of spearmint tea reported a reduction in their facial hair. Spearmint may also improve your memory. How many of you knew that? How many of you knew that spearmint by itself could improve your memory? Well, I would like you to remember this podcast and what I'm presenting to you in this show. So you might want to make sure you're getting some spearmint if you're having a hard time remembering, because it's a lot of info. Studies have shown that mice given a spearmint extract experienced improved learning and memory, as shown by their performance on a maze test. Remember, if it happens in a mouse, it happens in a human. That's exactly what all the research scientists say. In a more recent study, older adults with memory impairment who were given daily supplements containing 900 milligrams of spearmint extract experienced a 15% improvement in their working memory. Did you know spearmint also fights bacterial infections? Well, I know you knew that because I already taught you that with our Biodefense product, the Nigella sativa oil, the black seed oil, that's what it is, along with spearmint and peppermint oil. Those are the 3 main ingredients in Biodefense, are all in there to fight bacterial infections like E. coli, to help us with our concerns around shedding, E. coli infections, microbiome issues in the gut, irritable bowel syndrome, you name it. UTIs, urinary tract infections, all of those ingredients handle it. So let's just learn about spearmint here. Studies have found that spearmint essential oil is effective against several types of harmful bacteria. Additionally, it's been shown to work against bacteria that cause foodborne illnesses, including E. coli and listeria. Now, I want to mention listeria. Do you guys remember that boar's head meat? In fact, I'm going to stop here. I just want to talk to you. I want to remind you, do you remember that over the last 2 months, boar's head meat that doesn't put preservatives, nitrates, sulfates in their deli meats, the FDA has told them to shut down their production of meats because they have found food poisoning of specific bacteria called listeria. And that is what they're reporting throughout the media. I want to remind you, if you didn't know about the radio shows I've done discussing this outside of our podcast shows, Listeria, as I just showed you, is cured with spearmint oil. Listeria is also cured with black cumin seed oil, and that is in our Biodefense product. So if you're concerned about these things, there are already published cures for these things, and they're in nature. You don't need antibiotics. You don't have to worry about going to a hospital getting dehydrated with food poisoning. If you just have Biodefense in your medicine cabinet at home, we'll call it an all-natural medicine cabinet. If you have this as a part of your all-natural medicine cabinet, this is why I believe it's so important. When I first came out with this formulation a year ago, I said, this is the one product I believe everybody should have in their medicine cabinets at home for that very reason. All right, so let's dive back into the presentation. Just want to touch on the listeria thing because E. coli has been a big focus of mine to help you and everybody around the world who's gotten vaccines for COVID, been injured, worried about shedding. They're using E. coli bacteria to spread the poisons called DNA plasmids. So I needed to make sure people knew about the benefits of the ingredients inside of Biodefense to protect our audiences and people they love against concerns around shedding. But it goes way beyond that. The ingredients in Biodefense, including spearmint and Nigella sativa oil, they are published to be cures for the bird flu, for example, which has been announced to be the next pandemic. You do not have to fret at all, be fearful, be anxious. There's already proven published antidotes. And for listeria poisoning, spearmint is there, E. coli also. All right, now we also know that it's actually published that spearmint can lower our blood sugar. This actually blew me away in doing this presentation. In a singular study, rats were given a spearmint extract equivalent to 9 milligrams per pound. That's 20 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds, called a kilogram, of our body weight per day. While healthy rats appeared unaffected, rats with diabetes had significantly lower blood sugar. And when they say significant, I will rehash this. When they say it's significant, it is significant. In fact, in each of these two studies I'm about to quote, I'm going to take you into those studies. Actually, I don't think I do it in this presentation, but I've gone into these studies. In each case, they were comparing spearmint oil to diabetes drugs, and the spearmint oil beat all the diabetes drugs in lowering blood sugar, more significantly lower blood sugar levels. In another 21-day study in rats with diabetes, animals given 136 milligrams per pound, or 300 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight per day of this type of spearmint extract showed a 25% reduction in blood sugar in 3 weeks. It also helps reduce stress. In South American countries, spearmint tea is commonly used to treat stress and insomnia. In one study in rats, spearmint extract was found to decrease anxiety and improve sleep. Remember, if it happens in a mouse, it's going to happen in humans. Number 9, spearmint may also improve arthritis pain. In a 16-week study, this ain't no may, by the way. I don't know if y'all know this. When they say it may, the research studies confirm it does. So here we go. In one 16-week study, this one's an awesome study. I dove into this one. In a 16-week study in 62 people with arthritis of the knee, regular spearmint tea consumed twice a day reduced stiffness and physical disability, while a spearmint tea high in rosmarinic acid, which is in spearmint, acid relieved the same symptoms and reduced pain. So I just want to remind you, there's a substance inside of mint called rosmarinic acid. It's also in rosemary. But in this one 16-week study, I want to review this real quick because I'm going to dive into it. When they gave individuals varied amounts of what's in spearmint found in other plants, they found that it reduced, in 62 people that had arthritis in their knee, regular spearmint tea twice a day reduced the stiffness and physical disability. But spearmint tea that was high in rosmarinic acid relieved the same symptoms and reduced the pain. I know this seems kind of mundane. It's not very clear. The first part of this sentence and the second are very different. The first sentence says it reduced stiffness and physical disability. When they gave those same individuals spearmint tea high in rosmarinic acid, it relieved the symptoms and reduced the pain. That means the spearmint tea actually got rid of all arthritic knee pain and all stiffness of the knee. Tell the difference? Spearmint also helps lower blood pressure. Spearmint may help lower blood pressure. In fact, one animal study, carvone, which is a component of spearmint tea and spearmint oil, was shown to be 100 times more potent at reducing blood vessel contractions than verapamil, a commonly used blood pressure medication. Okay, they took spearmint and compared it against a drug to lower blood pressure in humans. Verapamil is very, very common, this drug. They found one component of spearmint alone was 100 times more potent at relaxing blood vessels to lower blood pressure than blood pressure drugs. All right, so let's dive in here. Let's look at the bacterial studies first, because I want to show you the product Biodefense that we created. It was specific for bacteria, fungi, and parasites. So let's dive into the spearmint that's in there and inside your throat spray. Why? Because bacteria is introduced in our bodies through food, air, water, as we breathe, drink, eat. And that bacteria can get in your throat and in your mouth and create all kinds of problems. So that's why we have spearmint flavored throat sprays. It's all natural flavored. All right, so here in the Journal of Pathogens, chemical composition, and in the lab, antibacterial activity of spearmint called Mentha spicata, essential oil, that's the fancy Latin name, scientific name for spearmint, against common foodborne pathogenic bacteria. This is what they did. They took fresh leaves of M. spicata, which is actually spearmint, were obtained from Galain Garb City, Kermanshah province of West Iran. They air dried the leaf of the spearmint plant and used a device to prepare it for this study. The antibacterial activity of spearmint oil was tested against bacteria, including these bacteria. Pay attention, nurses, medical doctors, and lay people. They found that bacterias they were testing against with spearmint only oil was staph infections, Staph aureus, mono, subtilis, cereus, Typhimurium, and E. coli. All right, here we go. Let's dive in to see what they found against all these different bacteria. Now, most chiropractors are not trained on all these different bacteria. I just love researching this stuff. Then they showed us in this research study what makes up spearmint leaf. The spearmint plant, what all are the compounds found in it, God put in there, nature put in there, that actually have any kind of antibacterial benefits? Well, you'll see the list here. You'll see the numbers. They're numbering them on the left. The second column is titled compound. Compound are each of the different chemicals. I'm not going to run through them, but you'll see things that you're familiar with. Look at number 5, menthol. This is why they put menthol. They get menthol from spearmint, and they put it in things like Biofreeze or like Icy Hot. Those things that help reduce pain and inflammation. Menthol is a very common ingredient. I don't know if y'all knew it was extracted from spearmint, but you'll see all kinds of terpenes, all kinds of stuff. You'll see the carvone that was referenced earlier. That's not the only things that are in spearmint. Look at all these other chemicals and natural compounds. The antibacterial effect was being measured against these various organisms. And generally, the results of the present study showed that gram-positive bacteria were more susceptible to spearmint essential oil than gram-negative bacteria. They found that mono was the most sensitive of the microorganisms to the antibacterial activity of spearmint oil. Isn't that great news? How many of you knew that you could use our throat spray or our Biodefense product to help with mono? Antibacterial effect of spearmint essential oil. You see the bacteria on the left, all named, and you'll see them all. Staph aureus, if you've ever heard of staph infections, that's what that is. Then you've got these other bacterium, subtilis, cereus, mono, Typhimurium, E. coli, 2 different forms of E. coli. The conclusions of this study using spearmint oil against different bacterial infections. You might want to ask your medical doctor if they ever tell you have a bacterial infection, ask them what kind. And then reference this production. Go back and look at this PowerPoint and go, do I have this infection? If I do, well, we've already learned spearmint oil is effective at helping to cure it. You don't need an antibiotic, most likely. The results of the present study indicate that spearmint oil has remarkable antibacterial activity against common foodborne bacteria associated with outbreaks. Staph aureus, we've already run through the list. The essential oil of spearmint collected from this province in Iran has a potential to be applied as an antibacterial agent. That means you can either use antibiotics if you want to or use spearmint. I would prefer spearmint. In the journal here titled Pharmaceutical Research, the Iranian Journal of Pharmaceutical Research, they did this study of hypoglycemic, low blood sugar, lowered cholesterol, and antioxidant activities of Iranian spearmint leaves in a water extract in diabetic rats. Remember, if it happens in a mouse or a rat, it happens in a human. Diabetes is a chronic metabolic disease characterized by low blood sugar resulting from hyperglycemia, high blood sugar resulting from absolute or relative lack of insulin or insulin sensitivity. The next statement that's highlighted there in red, spearmint, also known as spearmint, belongs to the Lamiaceae family. The main compounds isolated from different extracts of spearmint include flavonoids, terpenoids, and phenols. Phenols are plant chemicals. There are mono or singular terpenes such as carvone, limonene, menthone, menthol, polygone, dihydrocarvone, and S-carviol in spearmint oil. You guys don't need to remember that. But these are the healing components inside of spearmint that drug companies around the world are isolating, synthetically manufacturing, and putting in things like icy hot. Aqueous leaf extract of the plant is used to relieve hiccup. These are the things that spearmint helps to relieve. If you've got hiccups, flatulence, giddiness, and as a remedy for inflammation, bronchitis, and also to control vomiting during pregnancy. How many of you have granddaughters, children who are vomiting during pregnancy? And how many of you knew that spearmint is known with these compounds to control vomiting during pregnancy? Fresh leaves of spearmint in this study were collected in October to November from this province in Iran. Those dried leaves of the plants were prepared in the dark, grounded in a grinder, and stored in refrigerator at 4 degrees Celsius until they used them. The actual water extract of mentha spearmint was safe up to the dose. Safe, listen to this. They found that extracts of spearmint as high as 1,500 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight was safe to use in animals called mammals, which you are. In this study, they used 1/5 of that safe amount of 1,500 milligrams. They did 300 milligrams per every 2.2 pounds of body weight twice a day was the dose they selected for this study. Diabetes, they induced, remember this, I find this very interesting, how many studies I actually read every week where they state they create a diabetic mouse or rat using drugs. And in this study, they're going to create a type diabetic rat using a drug called aloxan, and you'll see it here in just a second. What I find very sad about this is they know that they can create a diabetes animal in 24 to 48 hours using a drug. Well, are they doing the same thing with humans, like with children and vaccines? Are they actually inducing diabetes since they know how to do it in mammals? Remember, research scientists state over and over and over, we do studies with drugs and chemicals in mice because we know that mice and rats have the exact same DNA and all the same chromosomes that a human does. So if something happens in a mouse or rat, it will happen in a human. That's what they say all the time. So this is what they did. They created diabetes was induced in these Worcester albino rats by a single injection of 150 milligrams of alloxan, Alloxan. The rats were fasted for 16 hours prior to inducing them with diabetes. I need y'all to know this, recognize this. In medicine, they know how to make a diabetes mammal. We are mammals. They know how to make diabetics. They then 16 hours prior to making a diabetic rat who was not diabetic before, they had it fast for 16 hours. Diabetes was confirmed by measuring the fasting blood sugar levels of rats using the ACCU check glucose meter 6 days after they administered alloxan. The rats were randomly divided into 4 groups, 6 rats in each group. Here's the groups you can see. Group 1 was normal rats, and they just received salt water. Group 2 was a diabetic control rats who received normal just salt water. So they induced them to be diabetic, but they didn't give them anything but salt water during the treatment period. Group 3 diabetic rats received glibenclamide 2 milligrams per kilogram starting 6 days after alloxan administration. So this is a diabetes drug. Group 4 was given They created diabetic rats, but these received what's called MSLA. MSLA is mentha spicata, or whatever they call the name, spearmint. That is the spearmint extract 6 days after the Aloxan administration to create the diabetes. So group 1, normal rats, no diabetes, just gave them salt water. Group 2, they made them diabetic, and then they only gave them salt water. Group 3, they created diabetes rats and then gave them diabetes drugs. Group 4, they created a diabetic rat, and then they only gave it 6 days after creating the diabetic rat. They gave it only 300 milligrams twice a day of spearmint oil. The total plant chemical capacity and reducing power of MPLA and MSLA are shown in Table A. This is the spearmint oil. The results show that the total plant chemical capacity and reducing power of spearmint was significantly better than the drug they abbreviated MPLA. Therefore, the leaf extract of spearmint, M. spicata, was selected to evaluate its effectiveness on blood sugar. The blood glucose level in rats that orally received the spearmint oil significantly reduced their blood sugar compared to diabetes control drug group. The spearmint extract group got 300 milligrams. Their blood sugar decreased from an average 136 to 101 on average. Well, what do you hear about with humans? They want to get your blood sugar below 110. Look what spearmint did. It went from 136 in the diabetes now rats. They gave them just spearmint oil, and it lowered, within just days, their blood sugar to 101, which is perfectly normal. The hypoglycemic effect was quite evident from 14th day onward. So after 14 days, they could see their blood sugar stayed within the normal range. After day 14 was even more miraculous than the first 14. The drug for diabetes called glibenclamide also significantly reduced blood glucose levels from 140 in the diabetes rats, group 3, down to 113 milligrams. Well, go back and look at the drug. Okay, look, in rats that daily received the standard drug for diabetes. Now, just look at the numbers. I want y'all to focus on this. Look at the numbers. The hypoglycemic effect of spearmint was comparable and significantly better than the diabetes drug at lowering blood sugar. So focus on this. Look at the numbers. You're going to see the numbers. If you look here, this is just the spearmint group, group 4. They call it MSLA. You will see before the rat has diabetes, the average blood sugar in the rats was 82. At day 0 of being made a diabetic, they were at 136. Day 7 after receiving spearmint, within 1 week, it went from an average every day of 136 blood sugar down to 127. By day 14, it went to 108. After day 14 and on to day 21 and beyond, it stayed at about 101. This is without any diabetic drugs. If you look above, right above there at group number 3, you will see the average blood sugar rate of the rats before getting the drug to be induced to be diabetics was 80. At day 0, when they started the drug treatment 6 days after getting the drug to make them diabetics, their blood sugar was at 140. On day 7, it was at 123. By day 14, it only went down by 1 point a week later to 122. By day 21, it went down to 113. I just need y'all to look and see by day 21, nothing outperformed in all 4 groups. Nothing was more powerful at lowering blood sugar into the normal range, which is 110 and less. For all endocrinologists and diabetes specialists, you've got to get blood sugar lower than 110. There's only one thing that in this group did it between the drug and spearmint oil, and it was spearmint. Aloxan-induced diabetic rats developed a significant decrease in body weight during the 21 days of the experiment. So the drug-induced rats, they lost weight during the 21 days of the experiment. At the end of 21-day treatment, the drug group and the spearmint group significantly caused increases in the body weight. They didn't lose weight like the diabetes-induced rats that didn't receive the drugs and spearmint. So to preserve your weight, spearmint and the diabetes drug outperformed the placebos. Oral administration, so taking it by mouth, spearmint, 300 milligrams. developed significant reduction of all of these: total cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL cholesterol levels in the treated diabetic rats as compared to the diabetic control rats. This result was comparable to the results of the standard drug glibenclamide at 2 milligrams per kilogram. Just want y'all to recognize the spearmint extract was as potent, but even more better than the drug, even though they were similar. It still outperformed it, and you don't have any toxic side effects. And spearmint oil comes without a prescription. Miraculous. This is just a summary of that effect. You'll see here on cholesterol, triglycerides, and HDL cholesterol, you will see the spearmint group, the average total cholesterol was 95 compared to the diabetic. Look at line number 2. For the rats, they just gave salt water after making them diabetics. Their total cholesterol after getting aloxin, the drug to induce diabetes, their blood sugar, the diabetes-only rats, 180. The spearmint-treated diabetic rats, their blood sugar was 95. Their cholesterol was 95. And what do they tell you your blood sugar, your blood cholesterol should be total? Less than 100. That's what they say right now. Well, that did it. Actually cut the cholesterol by half just using spearmint oil. Triglycerides went from 155 in the diabetic rats, line 2. Triglycerides went down to 89. It's almost half also. LDL cholesterol, they call the bad cholesterol. Look at that, line number 2. In the diabetes-induced rats, it was 105 at the end of 21 days. Look at what it was in the spearmint group. Bad cholesterol went from 105 down to 26. That is amazing. And then look at HDL cholesterol. That's your good cholesterol, they call it. Line 2, the diabetes was at 44 after 21 days of this experiment. Look at the spearmint group. It was up at 51. What do they say about HDL cholesterol? It should always be above 50. Look at that. It's the only group that even had HDL cholesterol, your good cholesterol, above 50 was the spearmint group. The results of this study indicate that spearmint as a species with high antioxidant activity reduces blood glucose levels in diabetic rats. The leaf extract of spearmint caused a significant reduction in blood glucose levels. The extract of the spearmint not only reduced the blood glucose, but also decreased the lipid profile, which are the fats, cholesterol, HDL, and LDL, triglycerides. Spearmint extract at the dose level of 300 milligrams per kilogram, every 2.2 pounds of body weight, significantly improved the body weight of diabetic rats. In conclusion, these results clearly demonstrate that spearmint leaf extract is rich in plant compounds and high reducing power. M. spicata, spearmint, which has effective lowering blood sugar, lowering fats, and lipid peroxidation activities in diabetic rats, may be useful for the clinical treatment of diabetes. You might want to get all your friends and buddies on diabetic medication. You might want to get them some spearmint, get them Biodefense, start supplementing spearmint alone. Inside of spearmint is a compound called carvone. Carvone inside of spearmint, which is also found in our Biodefense and in our throat sprays. Carvone, look at this. This is Phytoterapia journal. It has antispasmodic effects and its mode of action. The monoterpene ketone called carvone has a chiral carbon and is found in nature as 2 optical antipodes. Don't even know what that is. Carvone is the main component of the essential oil of spearmint, just so y'all know. Carvone intestinal antispasmodic activity. If you have IBS, you have irritable bowels, bloating, gas, that's spasming of your colon. Carvone intestinal antispasm activity indicated that this terpene can be used to treat smooth muscle spasms. All of your intestines, esophagus, and stomach are all smooth muscle. Antispasmodic agents, also your blood vessels are smooth muscle. Antispasmodic agents can act by blocking specific receptors present in smooth muscles, such as muscarinic, cholinergic, or histamine receptors. In the present work, we found that carvone significantly reduced the spasm response induced by 3 different stimulators: histamine, BACL2, and carbachol. To further test the hypothesis that carvone acts as a CCB, calcium channel blocker. How many of you have heard about those with heart medications? To further test the hypothesis that carvone acts as a calcium channel blocker, Carvone concentration response curves were generated during the tonic phase, the contraction phase, of different parts of smooth muscle, and compared that with classical calcium channel blocker verapamil drugs for high blood pressure. This result indicates that Carvone acts, the results of the study were, they found, it acts as a calcium channel blocker. Mainly, Carvone showed to be almost 100 times more potent than the marketed prescription drug calcium channel blocker called verapamil for blood pressure. This is right out of the study at ScienceDirect.com. Spearmint and its component called Carvone showed to be almost 100 times more potent than the marketed calcium channel blocker of verapamil at actually reducing smooth muscle contraction. Here's verapamil. I just want to highlight for you what verapamil was on drugs.com. Verapamil is used to treat high blood pressure, angina, and certain heart rhythm disorders. They found that spearmint has something in it called Carvone that's 100 times more potent than verapamil at lowering blood pressure, reversing chest pain, and certain rhythmic disorders of the heart. I want you to look here, the brand names of verapamil. See the word verapamil on the screen? 2 lines below that, you'll see the brand names. These are the brand names that some of your loved ones, colleagues may be on. Calin SR, Isoptin SR, Varelin PM. These are all various versions of verapamil. So just know this is a calcium channel blocker and not the only one, but spearmint. Mainly Carvone showed to be almost 100 times more potent than the marketed prescription drug verapamil calcium channel blocker for high blood pressure. Get your spearmint today. It's in our Biodefense. Make sure you do it every day. All right, spearmint extract improves working memory in men and women with age-associated memory impairment. What in the world is working memory, you might be asking? All right, spearmint lines were developed through traditional breeding techniques to produce significantly higher levels of bioactive polyphenols components, such as RA, is what they're going to call this component. When the spearmint extract was administered to mice for 12 weeks at 320 milligrams per body weight every 2.2 pounds, they saw improvements in learning and memory occurred that corresponded to reduced protein carbonyls in the hippocampus of the brain. This reduction in oxidative byproducts in the part of the brain called the hippocampus is a plausible mechanism of action for the cognitive effects of spearmint extract supplementation. They actually figured out that this decalcifies a part of your brain called the hippocampus, and this is a mode of action that perfectly explains how spearmint oil improves cognitive effects of the brain. Further, since working memory is reported to be hippocampally dependent, that part of your brain, it is plausible that spearmint extract could favorably impact working memory. They show you, this is the timeline. Top left, they randomized 3 different groups of people or animals. 600 milligrams of spearmint per day, 900 milligrams of spearmint per day, and then a group of animals that didn't get any. And you'll see the screening period was visit 1, day 14 to day 7, day 7 to day 0 is when they, so day 14 was the first visit, day 7 was the next visit, day 0 is when they started giving them these actual doses of spearmint, and they were tracking for the first 14 days their memory and their skill set. Then you'll see the doses top right. They did acute assessments, single dose. That's checked their memory 0.5 hours later, 2 hours later, 4 hours later, 6 hours later. This is acute. This double-blinded, placebo-controlled parallel study included 1 telephone screen, 2 screening visits. Subjects were randomly assigned one of the 3 treatment periods. 600 milligrams of spearmint extract or 900 milligrams or placebo, which was consumed each day with breakfast. Sorry, these are humans. I jumped from a mouse study to a human study. This is a human study. They gave it to them with breakfast over a 90-day treatment period. This is a 3-month study of spearmint oil with memory. Cognitive performance was assessed by using the Cognitive Drug Research System. The cognitive performance assessment was administered at minus 0.75 hours before giving them spearmint, half an hour after giving them the spearmint, 2 hours, 4 hours, and 6 hours, like I just showed you. It consisted of 11 individual tasks was the assessment to assess attention and information processing, episodic and working memory, executive function, and motor control. The tasks were performed in the following order. Can the person immediately word recall, simple reaction time, digit vigilance, your fingers, can you point, choice reaction time, numeric working memory, remembering numbers, spatial working memory, delayed word recall, word recognition, picture recognition, tracking, and executive functions. Picture, dementia, and Alzheimer's, early onset or late. This is what they're working on. Parkinson's also, gait issues, not able to track your fingers. This is all working memory issues of the brain. On the right-hand side, you will see this is what they were analyzing. Factors of the cognitive factors. Power of attention, continuity of attention, how long can they pay attention, quality of working memory, quality of episodic secondary memory, speed of memory, quality of memory. And this is what they were testing with spearmint oil. From the questionnaire, they were looking for tension, anxiety, depression, dejection, anger, hostility, also vigor reaction, fatigue, inertia, confusion, bewilderment, and a total mood disturbance. They were looking for sleep results in 4 different domains: ease of getting to sleep, quality of sleep, awakening from sleep, and behavior following wakefulness. Subjects were recruited between August of 2013 and January 2014. 600 milligrams of spearmint extract and 900 milligrams was what was given over a 90-day period. A total of 200 subjects were screened. 90 subjects were actually selected for treatment. This is 90 people over 90 days. Subjects consumed 900 milligrams, had improved scores compared with subjects who consumed either 600 milligrams or the placebo. So the more spearmint oil, the better the outcomes with their memory and their cognitive function. Improvements in the 900 milligrams a day spearmint extract group over the 90-day supplement period was 22%, compared with 5 and 7% in the 600 milligram group. Look at that difference. 22% improvement over a 5 to 7 improvement with the 600 milligrams. So the more spearmint, the better. There was an overall treatment effect after 90 days with spearmint extract supplementation in spatial working memory, distractor items. This improvement from baseline was significantly greater for subjects consuming the 900 milligrams a day over the 600 or placebo group. So the more spearmint, the better. And here you go. You will see the score on the left from 0 to 0.3. Days of supplementation, 45 to 90. You'll see the improvement scale on the straight line with triangles in it is the 900 milligram group. The squares is the 600 milligram group. You will see there is a significant improvement in cognitive function over the 600 milligram group at 900 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight in this group of people. Administration of the questionnaire identified significant treatment effects in the vigor activity factor, a trend for improvement after 900 milligrams of spearmint relative to the placebo was observed in the vigor activity factor group. A significant effect in their self-motivation was evident for subjects administered the 900 versus the 600 milligram dose. When it came to sleep quality, they were using this LESQ scale. They wanted to evaluate how do these people get to sleep, what's their quality of sleep, their ease of awakening, and how's their alertness and behavior after they're fully awake. Between group comparisons, they showed that subjects consuming 900 milligrams of spearmint a day reported improved ability to get to sleep versus subjects consuming the placebo. Spearmint extract at 900 milligrams a day had improved behavior following wakefulness relative to subjects consuming 600 milligrams a day. Just want y'all to see, they did not find a real significant difference in the quality of sleep or ease of awakening from sleep in either group. But you saw 2 improvements related to sleep, falling asleep faster, and then your wakefulness after waking. They saw a much significant improvement in the 900 milligram group over the 600. This study shows that supplementing with dried water spearmint extract of 900 milligrams a day, which is what we have in our Biodefense, for 90 days, significantly improved quality of working memory and spatial working memory versus the placebo. Further, subjects taking the 900 milligrams daily dose also reported improvements in their ability to fall asleep and demonstrated trends for improved ratings from subjective mood assessments, including vigor activity and time TMD. 900 milligrams a day of this extract for 30 days showed improvements in components of working memory also. I'm just going to skip these. You can actually get these in our PowerPoint presentation. I just want you to be aware. In summary, healthy older subjects taking 900 milligrams of the daily spearmint extract improved their working memory and self-reported ability to get to sleep. Native spearmint species shows promise as an ingredient for improved cognitive performance, sleep, and possibly mood, all of which may improve quality of life. And what does Dr. Ardis stand for? I'm literally just trying to create products, educate you on ways to improve your life and the quality of your life. And Spearmint is one of those very simple things that can do that. We're going to dive now into the research studies on arthritis, because I know so many people around the world are being subject to hydrocortisone, prednisone for the rest of their life, suffering with gouty arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, psoriatic arthritis, and you don't have to. In this study on the Journal of Medicinal Food, high rosmarinic acid, spearmint tea, in the management of knee osteoarthritis symptoms. We highlighted this at the beginning of the presentation. Now we're going to dive into what they found, because it's way more significant than just the summary you read on Healthline magazine. Rosmarinic acid, rosé, like the wine, rosé, R-O-S-A, is a multi-phenolic compound. It's a multiple, poly means many, phenol means plant compound, naturally present in spearmint. In vitro means a lab. In the lab, rosé has been shown, rosé is in spearmint, has been shown to have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, immune suppressant, and antibacterial activities. Healthy, mature, standard-bred horses, these are much bigger than humans, and they all have the exact same organs as humans. They're just bigger. Healthy, mature, standard-bred horses were fed hay and sweet feeds containing either no or 54 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight of the high rosmarinic acid spearmint. Spearmint had reduced synovial fluid PGE2 and GAG levels compared with the control horses. They found they could reduce inflammation in synovial fluid. I don't know if you guys know what synovial fluid is, but there's fluid in the knee. In every joint of your body, there's something called synovial fluid. You've heard people have fluid drained from their knee, drained from their hip. That's what they're taking out, synovial fluid. They found there was lower inflammatory fluid in the synovial fluid of those horses given injections of spearmint oil than those that weren't. Participants were instructed to consume 2 cups of tea per day, provided 300 milliliters in a mug. Hold on here, I want to see something. Make sure this isn't out of order. Good. 3 grams of high rosé spearmint and 300 milliliters of water for 5 minutes was verified by high-performance liquid chromatography in the blood. They found that when they drank the tea, the rosé ended up in their blood. Participants in the control and high rose groups consumed 26 milligrams of spearmint versus 280 milligrams of rosé from spearmint. Okay, the reason why I have to show this slide is most studies, I will tell you, they're giving spearmint to one group of rats or humans and no spearmint to another group. In this scenario, they gave spearmint to both the control group and the treatment group, but they only gave a really small amount to the control group, 26 milligrams. The other group, they gave the 280 milligrams per day. They found the Western Ontario and McMaster University's Arthritis Index, abbreviated WOMAC, this is how they measure how severe your arthritis is widely used in the evaluation of hip and knee osteoarthritis in humans. It is a self-administered questionnaire consisting of 24 items divided into 3 subscales. This research study is for all people who have arthritis in their hips, shoulders, joints, knees, fingers, toes. It doesn't matter. This is for you. If it happens in a mouse, it happens in a human. If it happens in a horse, it's definitely happening in a human. Pain is what they want to know. During walking, they want you on this questionnaire to fill out what's the pain scale during walking, using stairs, in bed, sitting or lying, and standing upright. Then they want to know what's the measurement of stiffness that you can report after first waking and later in the day. Physical function, using stairs, rising from sitting, standing, bending, walking, getting in and out of a car, shopping, putting on, taking off socks, rising from bed, lying in bed, getting out of the bath, sitting, getting on, off a toilet, heavy domestic duties, light domestic duties. This is the WOMAC index developed in 1982. The WOMAC pain score significantly decreased from baseline within the high rosé group to week 16. So they found spearmint users for 16 weeks saw a significant decrease in all measured outcomes of arthritis and pain. In the control group, WOMAC pain score also decreased from baseline. However, it was significant at week 8. In the control group, who got a small amount of spearmint, the WOMAC pain scale decreased, and it was significant at week 8, but it was not significant by week 16. So that lower dose of 26 milligrams worked up to week 8, but it was not sustained past week 16. This is important. They're looking to see what's the difference between a low-dose spearmint and a high-dose spearmint. WOMAC stiffness significantly decreased from baseline to week 16 within the high spearmint group and the control group. WOMAC physical disability score significantly decreased from baseline to week 16 within the high rosé group and the control groups. This is what you're going to be looking at weeks 0 to 16 and the pain score on the left. And you're going to see a much lower scale. The bottom line is the higher spearmint dosage. So you'll see the disability score was very similar. The stiffness score was way better by week 8 and 16 in both groups. You will see here, then they wanted to know what's the 6-minute walk test for weeks 0, 8, and 16 for the high spearmint group and the low. And what they found at week 16 was a massive change in the high rosé group, but not so much in the control group on the right. You see, we put a red box around the spearmint group. They saw a change of 22 on their scale. Week 16 was 473 on average, but they saw a change of 22. They only saw a 0.1 change in the outcomes for the group on the low-dose spearmint. As weight loss is known to improve osteoarthritis symptoms, although the pain scores were never significantly different between the groups, the significant decrease during the treatment period within the high spearmint group is an important finding. In the control group, pain scores only significantly decreased from week 0 to week 8, with no further significant decreases, suggesting a placebo effect in the people, in the animals, with the small dose of spearmint. Because of this known placebo effect, we prioritized running a blinded study. Therefore, a commercial spearmint tea, identical in appearance and flavor to the high rosé tea, but that contained a small amount of rosé, was used as a control. As the decreases in WOMAC scores ceased at week 8 in the control group, but it continued to decline in the high spearmint group, we hypothesized that lengthening the treatment period could result in significant differences between the two groups. They believe the longer people are on high-dose spearmint, the less pain, less stiffness, all better scores on the WOMAC scale. The significant increase in quality of life bodily pain score in high spearmint group suggests that reduced pain led to an increase in quality of life in this group. Although no significant differences were observed in the 6MWT, the high spearmint group walked 22 meters further at week 16 than at baseline when they started. At week 16, the high spearmint group was starting to experience improvements in physical function related to their decreased pain. While not statistically significant, the improvement in walking distance could be meaningful, as even small increases in walking distance are important in individuals with osteoarthritis. Would you like to walk further, have less pain? Spearmint oil is proven to do that in a 16-week period. In this study, individuals that had osteoarthritis of the knee who consumed 600 milliliters of high rosé spearmint tea daily for 4 months showed significant, or 16 weeks, showed significant improvements in pain scores and physical function. Therefore, adults with knee osteoarthritis may benefit from including high spearmint tea in their daily routine. This is our Biodefense product, and I'm holding it. It's our Biodefense. I just need to show you all this. This is right off our website. You will see the first ingredient listed here as our clean and pure premium ingredients. The first one is organic Nigella sativa black cumin seed oil. The second ingredient we highlighted with the red box is Mentha spicata, which is spearmint. And it reads on our website, our formula containing spearmint harnesses potent antimicrobial and antioxidant properties. Spearmint effectively combats bacterial infections while providing antioxidant support, which we just showed you. This is the actual ingredient deck as you would read it on the back of the label. I highlighted Mentha spicata as the second ingredient on the list. This is our mint throat spray. What is the mint? The mint on the back you'll see under other ingredients is natural mint flavor, which is from spearmint. So we wanted to make sure you had aware that spearmint is in 2 of those products there, which is why I held them up at the beginning of this presentation. Don't forget about our new book. You can scan this code here. You can get it at the drardisshow.com. You can get it at amazon.com. You can get it at barnesandnoble.com. And we just found out there's many public libraries around the country that are wanting to carry it. And we're looking for more and more exciting news about how many more people this book can reach and provide value to them to help free them from the suffering they're experiencing called long COVID. Remember, you can scan our QR code, get access to our emails, and get updates as we go. Don't forget about our Artist Club membership for those of you who are interested. All right, let's end the presentation there. Just want to remind you, I love you. I'm grateful for all of you. This is Biodefense. with our Nigella sativa oil and our spearmint contained, and our super handy, super delicious spearmint flavored propolis throat spray. It's amazing. All right. I'm Dr. Ardis. This is the Dr. Ardis Show. This has been all the miraculous benefits and healing properties of spearmint as we go along educating you about the natural healing properties that God infused in nature all around us. It is my goal to make sure you know all the possible published benefits that are my why to bring you these incredible formulations. I want you to live a life free of symptoms and free from the chains of prescriptions and pharmacies. I'm Dr. Ardis. God bless you. We'll see you next time on more Dr. Ardis Show.